And we are back. It's Wednesday, and we got a new book, Artist and Their Pets, thanks to my good friend Laura from New Jersey. She sent this our way, and it's perfect to fit sort of the theme we've been rolling with, reading different chapters of artists in their lives. So now we're going to get to read about artists who had pets, and skipping the introduction, which just basically talks about a little intro of the different artists and the different animals that we'll see in this book. So skipping over that and just jumping right in with Pablo Picasso, Spanish Maestro. And here we have him with his animals, or some of them. Probably the most influential artist of the 20th century, the Spanish artist Pablo Picasso had a career that lasted for more than 75 years and enough pets to run his own zoo. He was their Tiger King. One of the most prolific artists in the history of modern art, Pablo Picasso became a big name in art in the 20th century. He also had a big name, Pablo Diego Jose Francisco de Paula Juan Nepomuceno Maria de los Remedios Cipriano de la Santísima Trinidad Mártir Patricio Clito Ruiz y Picasso. I think we read that name in Kid Artist, or there was another Spanish artist who also had an extremely long name. But I remember stumbling on another name, so that's funny. Picasso worked as a painter, sculptor, printmaker, ceramicist, and stage designer, and he produced thousands of works. Early in his career, however, he was so poor that he burned his drawings to keep warm. Oh, he's like the little match girl, but little drawing boy. Picasso was exceptionally skilled in art from a young age, which is known as being a child prodigy. His mother, Maria, said that his first word was pis, short for lapis, the Spanish word for pencil, which we did learn in the other book. Picasso's dad, Jose, bred pigeons and painted pictures of them. But he was unsuccessful as an artist, so he earned his living as an art teacher. I did not know that. He gave Pablo his first art lessons. Like his dad, Pablo also loved birds and often kept them later in life. When he was 10, Pablo and his family moved from Malaga, where he was born, to La Coruna in northwest Spain. There he had his first pet dog, Clipper. 3 years later, he painted Clipper's portrait. Clipper, it's a cute dog name. At 13, Pablo took a test to enter an art school in Barcelona. He completed and passed the test, which usually took older students a week, in an afternoon. He finished it in an afternoon. Wow. At 16, he went to Spain's top art school in Madrid, but he spent most of his time in the Prado Museum studying famous Spanish paintings. Little did he know his art would be in the Prado Museum years later. In 1900, Picasso went to Paris with his dog, Gat. He named his dog Gat, which is Catalan for cat. Silly guy. Which had been given to him by his friend Miguel Utrillo. For years later, he moved into a building, that says 4. 4 years later, he moved into a building known as Bateau Lavoie, laundry boat in Montmartre in Paris. There, as well as Gat, he had a cat, Mimiche, a tame white mouse, and 2 more dogs, Fio and Frika. And he fed stray cats nearby. I love it. His pets kept him company, and he became friends with the city's most well-known artists, poets, and art dealers. In 1905, the American collectors Gertrude and Leo Stein began buying his work. And then we see a little, portrait. How do I turn this? Yeah, wrong way. Of some of his animals. You see Gat, which is a dog, not a cat, but it means cat in Catalan, Mimiche, the mouse, Frio and Frika, and a bunch of stray cats. After his friend died in 1901, Picasso painted sad-looking pictures in shades of blue. From 1905 to 1906, he painted slightly happier pinkish pictures of circus characters. These became known as his blue and rose periods, respectively. In 1907, Picasso saw African masks in a Paris museum and an exhibition of paintings by Paul Cézanne, who had died the year before. He used ideas from these experiences to create a large painting unlike anything that had been seen before. Les Demoiselles d'Avignon shocked many, but it became one of the most important paintings of the 20th century. And here you see that painting, which sort of began his Cubist career. Not career, but I guess phase or style. Genre even, and that was inspired by those exhibits he saw in Paris, the African masks and Cézanne. With his friend Georges Braque, Picasso began experimenting with a new style of painting. He painted people, musical instruments, and other objects known as still life from several viewpoints at once. After a journalist said that one of Braque's paintings looked like bizarre cubes, the style came to be called Cubism. Because of all the different angles often looked confusing, in 1912, Picasso and Braque began adding collage materials to their paintings to give clues about what they were. When World War I broke out in 1914, as Picasso was Spanish, he was allowed to stay in Paris while most of his French friends had to go and fight. During the war, a new ballet was created in Paris for the Ballet Russe. Parade was first performed there in 1917. Inspired by Cubism, Picasso designed the costumes, stage sets, and curtain using vivid colors and angled shapes. He also made new friends, including a dancer. Olga Koklova became his first wife. You see them ballet dancers and some of their costumes designed by Picasso. Picasso's son Paolo was born in 1921, and after taking a holiday with Olga and Paolo, Picasso began painting large, heavy-looking bathers. Then he became involved in the new Surrealist movement, which explored dreams and the subconscious mind, and some called this his monster period. Picasso created more sets for the Ballet Russe and began making metal sculptures as well as painting and printmaking. In 1927, he met a young lady named Marie-Thérèse Walter, who became the subject of many of his new style of curving, flat-looking paintings, with distorted shapes continuing some of his Cubist ideas. In 1930, while in Switzerland, he bought an Airedale Terrier and named him Elft. 5 years later, he split up with Olga and took Elf to live with Marie-Thérèse and their new baby daughter, Maya. Looks like he was playing around on the side. And we down here have a little excerpt about a minotaur. The minotaur, a creature that had a bull's head and tail on a man's body, was written about in ancient myths. Minotaurs appeared in many of Picasso's works, including an etching he called Minotauromachi, showing a minotaur invading a sculptor's studio. And of course, you probably know from the last time we read about him that his big work, Guernica, included a minotaur. And here we see him working on it. Starting in 1931, violent social and political unrest occurred in Spain. In July 1936, the Spanish Civil War began, when the Spanish army rebelled against the elected Republican government. Although he lived in France, Picasso was extremely worried and upset about his home country. That year, he also met a photographer, Dora Maar. Uh-oh, does this guy end up having 3 wives? Okay, so you can see him working on Guernica here, and it's really, really, really large. In 1937, the Spanish Republican government asked Picasso to create a mural for Spain's pavilion at a big Paris exhibition. Then in April, news broke of a bombing raid on the defenseless Spanish town of Guernica. Picasso painted a massive black and white mural representing the violence in Guernica. It was not the glorious image the government had wanted. Picasso also painted weeping women using Dora as his model. It was another image about the horrors of Guernica and the Spanish Civil War. In 1937, Picasso bought an Afghan greyhound that he named Kazbek. A really picture of that type of dog. In Paris during World War II, he met a young painter named Francois Guillot. He also began making sculptures from things he found lying around, such as a bicycle saddle and a child's toy car. He and Francois had 2 children, Claude and Paloma. They also had a pet dog, Jan the Boxer. In 1953, he began living with his new partner, Jacqueline Roque. It's not the same lady. Who became his second wife. He never married the other one. Okay, so second wife. In the south of France with Jan, their pet goat, Esmeralda, and the Dalmatian named Perro. Perro means dog in Spanish. In 1957, a friend visited Picasso with his dachshund, Lump. Lump never left, and he and Picasso became inseparable. Lump was pampered, and Picasso often painted him, creating original styles of art until the end of his life. Lump and Picasso. That's super cute. And that was about Picasso. So what was fun for me in this book, not having read this before, I didn't know it would go so much into the history of the artist. Kind of a nice little timeline of his life. So I think what I'm going to do is, as soon as I'm done recording this part, I'm going to throw in some images either at the end or overlaid on top of this of his art, so you get a better idea of like what his blue and his rose period look like. And we had a prompt about Picasso before, but I think we can go forward with that. And I think what would be fun, since it's like the theme of pets, maybe you could try drawing your pet in a cubist style. And when you see the images, that might make a little bit more sense. But basically, everything becomes like shapes. So if the dog has more of a round face, perhaps you make it more diamond or a square shape. And things get kind of moved around and tossed around. So I hope you enjoyed learning about that and learning about all the animals as well as girlfriends that Picasso had. I had no idea he had so many. And I think the next person we're going to read about, which is Frida Kahlo, also had a lot of pets. So that'll be fun to learn about as well. All right. And I will see you when I see you. You'll see me first, though. All right. Miss you guys.